Alright guys, Mike here, MF Custom Garage. We're just going to go over the inside of the Galaxie and talk about a few things today. Today's kind of been a big day. We were up super early and we'll talk about why and what's going on. But the first thing I want to take a look at is the inside of the Galaxie and go from there. Anyway, so let's grab this camera and do that. Okay guys, I'm filming the inside of the Galaxie and I was just running over the dash, kind of going over a couple things we got here. We got an auto meter, oil pressure gauge, auto gauge, temp gauge, those are all manual gauges, stock speedometer. Yeah, there was a deck cut into the dash. That was actually done before I got this car. We got a few switches over there on the console. The Phytech controller in the middle. We've got these seats. They're nothing super fancy, guys, but they're aftermarket seats, Performance World deal. These seats are actually fairly comfortable. We've driven the car a bunch, and we've got Performance World harness, and so it just makes it a little more comfortable to drive as we're going on this drive. Even though I do like my stock seats and the way they look, they're just not that comfortable. So, next, I just want to talk about, I do have a nitrous bottle mounted here. Not exactly to NHRA rules, but we'll probably mount it in the back. It does have a bracket on it. Good old, as a lot of nitrous guys would say, Fox body, old school Fox body bracket down there. And I've always just liked it behind the seat. It's easy to get to, and I can open it and close it. So, old street racer stuff, I guess. I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to explain a couple things with the roll bar and a couple changes that we're going to make. So, we bent our roll bar in here. It is attached to the frame and through the floor. As you can see, it comes up. We're missing one bar that's going to go right here, guys. And we're going to take that bar right back into here, through here. And there's a piece of frame where the leaf spring, or not the leaf spring, sorry, the coil spring and everything is. And that's where we're going with that. We're going to put it, tie it right into the frame. So it'll kind of come up. Like so, and tie into here. And then that'll complete the 6 points of this bar that we need to basically run up to 10.0 with this car. So the other thing is, guys, under here, we've got an old Mallory 6 box. I've had it for years. It's just worked well and it's never failed me. We've got a NX nitrous controller. That's just a basic controller so we can pulse the solenoids. And then way under here, and I don't know if you can see back in there, we have what they call a Daytona, box that controls the locked out distributor so that we can have a timing curve in it where we set a base curve and then we can retard the timing somewhat forward and back. Well, not forward, but back, retard it, so we can take some spark out of it when we need to for nitrous. So, and we're going to talk about that a little bit here, and we're going to talk about some more things. But that's just an oversight of the inside of the Galaxie, guys, and what's going on, and what we're going to do with it here. The battery is in the back. It's in a Moroso case. It's fully vented to the outside, so all that is NHRA legal. We got an NHRA legal disconnect switch. So, yeah, that's just a quick view. Oh, we'll go over this. I didn't, that's a starter shifter. It's B&M's really low dollar entry level old school ratchet shifter. It works well and I like the look of it, and that's stock console, so that's why it's there. We could go to something whizzier, like something from Motion or something like that, but I like the look of that in the console. It just kind of fits the car. So Anyway, this is a street car, guys. There's no question about it. This is totally a street car. So, okay. All right, guys. Mike here, MF Custom Garage. We're going to talk about a few things today and a few big things that happened today. So, we got up this morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we had early registration for Michigan Miles, and we went to register in that first hour, and we got in. So there's my ticket and whatnot, guys, and we are registered for Michigan Miles. So that's a big deal. I was beginning to wonder how I was going to make real good content for you guys when I was waiting to try to get in. So I went and had a little talk with Jay about getting in, and he's definitely joining us on the trip. And now we'll go over everything that we got to go over, from the fact that I've decided we're going to build a trailer, 4x8 trailer to pull behind this. We're not driving this, guys, to Michigan. We're trailering this to Michigan. So we'll go over our tow vehicle a little bit because that's going to be unique. We're going to go over everything on the car and talk about some more things today and go from there. Me and Jay had a talk this morning about, we've got a FiTech 600 on here, Easy Street, and it's got a few issues with it, and ultimately I'm going to do a review on it today, and we'll talk to FiTech about some stuff and see what we can do. I believe that this car ultimately could benefit from the FiTech 800 Mean Street, which has a nitrous controller in it too. So we may end up going that way. I'm just not sure yet. We'll see what FiTech has to say about ultimately upgrading the ECU and handheld on this unit. But it does have some issues, and I'll explain to you why. The newer FiTech units, which I've installed a bunch of, have a relay box and a fuse box. These first FiTech units had inline fuses in the harnesses, and they had a couple of relays right on the ECU. And those relays have a tendency of acting up. When they do, what seems to happen is you have a constant draw on the vehicle, and ultimately with that constant draw on the vehicle, you can't, it's a constant draw. The battery goes dead, bad things happen, all that kind of stuff. So this did that. We bypassed that relay, we added an inline relay, and everything's worked fine since. But the one thing I can tell you with all these units, guys, it doesn't matter if it's Holley, FiTech, MSD, whichever ones you're going to use. I've actually dabbled in all three of them, or for that matter, going to Microsquirt, Terminator, all the units out there. Grounds and powers matter, and going directly to battery, like they say, matters, and all that stuff. And so with this unit now, because of the way we have it, we're not directly to the battery, I think, for power. We're through a relay, which is not the best situation. But because I've been working on fuel injection for 20 plus years as a mechanic, I was able to deal with it, and we've had no problems with it. And I've ran it a whole summer that way already. But we don't know if we want to make the trip without doing the upgrades to this unit, or putting the Mean Street 800 on, or I even contemplated, I talked to Matt Blasco about possibly changing this unit up to a Microsquirt ECU, which I would do, and then we would just take it down and dyno it, tune it, and go from there. I've known Matt Blasco for years. A lot of you guys now probably know Matt very well after he backed his 3,000 horsepower CUDA into the wall at Sick Week. So yeah, the other thing, guys, is we are, like I said, trailering this car. We're not going to try to do a Rich Guido and drive it to Michigan, even though it might make it. It's just, that's not my thing, and I want to, you know, not have to deal with the headache of driving it right now. We'll leave that to the Chuck Norris of Canada to deal with those kind of things. So, but all the best to Rich wherever he does it and when he does it, because He is definitely the man when it comes to that stuff. Other than that, like I said, guys, we're in. We're going to take you along for the journey. We're going to do everything. We're going to go over some of the stuff inside the car today, just that needs to be dealt with before we leave. And we're going to, like I said, reach out to Vitech and see what we can do with possibly changing this unit or upgrading this unit to the other ECU and handheld or whatever we have to do. The other thing me and Jay had talked about is, I'm just going to grab something real quick, it's just over here. We had talked about too today, putting on this very expensive bypass regulator that I've had for years, because the pump I run is like a 340 in tank deal, and this is basically the same regulator that years ago, if you know Street Racing Channel or anything, this is the same regulator that Billy the Kid ran on his killer blow-through S10. And this regulator is an awesome regulator. We could just put a carburetor on it, which time I'd probably put one of my favorite carbs on it, like a 950 HP street carb or something along that line. That's a possibility too, but I don't really think I want to go that way. What I really think is that I want to put this in the trailer, and possibly a carburetor in the trailer, whatever ignition parts we need, if we happen to need them, and go that way. I'm going to talk a little bit about the ignition system we have on this thing. Right now we run a Mallory 6 box. It's an older box, but it's a really good box. It's never let me down. But it's not an AL box, and I don't have a rev limiter in it or a two-step. I do have a rev limiter within the Vitech and whatnot. We also run a Daytona box that controls the distributor. So the distributor is locked out, but we can dial a curve in it via the laptop. And I might show you guys some of that stuff as we go along, the software that goes along with it. So it acts a lot like the system we have set up right now. Acts a lot like a basically MSD programmable 6, just two different components to do it. I do like the software better for the Daytona box over the MSD software that I've used. So that's why I've stuck with it, and it does work pretty good, other than the fact that our retards have to be limited because of this cap. Because like all small cap distributors, you can only retard it so far. Any more than about 10 degrees, you're asking for issues. That's why when all these fuel injection devices came out and they tried to control timing with them, if you're doing it with a distributor, you can only move that rotor so far out of phase and without a jump and spark. That's hence 2 years ago why on the old DuraSpark systems, I think it was the one, I'm not sure, I think that still has the small cap for the Ford. They went to that wide cap distributor because it cleaned up a lot of that stuff for them. So, yeah, and that could be used here with the same pickup because it's just a basic pickup. And we could sort of use that wider cap if we wanted to. So the thought was to throw this in with a carburetor in the trailer, and even maybe just a points distributor in case we had to make it to the nearest O'Reilly's to buy an MSD box or something. But I feel pretty confident in the ignition. It's been good. We don't run a huge coil. We could go more coil for sure. We just run a Blaster 2 coil, but we've had excellent luck with everything we got. The other thing with this car, for the nitrous, we do run a standalone fuel system, so that does give us the option to steal that Holly Red pump if we had to run a carburetor to get, say, somewhere because something happened to the fuel injection. We could very easily bypass that one line, run it to the carburetor, get to wherever we wanted to go. The only problem with that is we're only on a very small fuel cell there for that. So, like I said, all stuff to think about, and we'll take you guys along the way, and we'll show you a lot of the tech as we go and stuff like that. So that's it for now, and I guess we'll make the decisions as we go. The tow unit's going to need a little bit some work before we go. We just put a new engine actually in that. We'll go over all that. We've got a brand new deck trailer to go, so that's nice. We're going to build a 4x8 trailer to pull behind this because I don't really want to put tires in the back and everything else because the suspension, I just don't want to play with it much. Car works, why, change things. I thought about changing rear shocks before I went, but I'm literally scared to tighten anything up. If anything, we're just going to go to adjustable shock and leave it alone. So, that being said, like I said, like, share, subscribe, guys. We're going to have some real good content now with this, and we'll be able to focus a little bit more on all this. So, we'll be able to take you guys along for the journey, too. Obviously, Michigan Miles is going to be an interesting thing because it's the Windward Dream Cruise. It's a lot of things all rolled into one, guys. Where we're going to give you guys hopefully a picture of Detroit and a few other things, and maybe we'll get to drive this thing by the Ford headquarters and get some pictures and a couple days to see some history while we're there, we're hoping. And like I said, I hope it's all going to go really, really well. So anyway, like, share, subscribe, do all the things, guys. We need you to subscribe. We need this channel to go somewhere. And like I said, we're in and we're going. So hopefully you guys are along with us through this journey. Thanks. This is Mike out. Bye.